I'd like to congratulate the official new Zulu king, MisuZulu, Kazwelithini, on being coronated as the king of the Zulu people in KZN. The event was held at Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban, and according to what I've heard, the reason that it was held at Moses Mabhida Stadium was because it's convenient for many, or it was convenient for many of the dignitaries that were going to be attending, rather than traveling all the way to Wanongoma, where the royal palace actually is. I think that's a good move. You know, Moses Mabhida is an easy stadium to access. You just fly to Durban from wherever you are in the world and you can access it easily. But obviously, it is a bit sad that people did not go to Wanongoma, where officially the royal palace is. And maybe it's a call for the king and the royal family to build a structure or an institution there where visitors from around the world can go to visit the king. One of the controversies that came out was the fact that at the coronation, number one, the king was given a certificate by the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, an official certificate stating that he is now officially the king of the Zulu people, coming from government. Number one is, why would he need any type of validation from the South African government to be pronounced king instead of just from the Zulu people? However, some of you may know that the Zulu king or the Zulu royal family gets an allowance from our government in South Africa that is paid by taxpayers. Last I checked, this allowance is about 70 million rand once a year for the king and for the royal family. That's the one part. I believe there are other benefits as well, because I know that the government of KwaZulu-Natal, the provincial government, also has a budget for taking care of the royal palaces, taking care of the wives and the family members of the king, and other things that have to do with the Zulu monarch as well. The second and more bigger controversy that came out was the fact that the Anglican Archbishop Thabo Makgoba was there anointing the king in oil, and also then gave him a ring. And people are like, why is there a Christian ritual that is being performed for the Zulu king there? The Prime Minister of the Zulu nation, Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi, leader of Inkatha Freedom Party, or the previous leader of the IFP, made a video trying to explain this. One of them explaining that some of these rituals were done back in the day, even the anointing of King David with oil in the Bible. Also stating that he himself is Anglican, and how the father of MisuZulu, uZwelithini, was also a very proud Anglican. He was happy with the dignified manner in which this was conducted by the Archbishop Thabo Makgoba as well. And he said there was nothing wrong with that, and with him even getting a ring for that matter. On social media, a lot of people are upset, saying that this now looks like a Christian thing, this looks like a Western thing. And even Mangosuthu Buthelezi was saying, but this is appropriate for a Christian Zulu king. And some people are asking, what is a Christian Zulu king? It is something that I've raised in the past, and one of the reasons why I left the Zulu kingdom myself. And to this day, a lot of people still criticize me, a lot of people still don't understand, and it's fine. Being Zulu is not a blood-related situation, and a lot of people believe that is so, but it is not. Being Zulu is belonging to a tribe, in the same way being South African means you belong to a nation, or coming from a province of Gauteng or Limpopo. That's all it means. It may happen that you share some blood links with the people from that tribe, or from that province, or from that country. But that is mostly because of geographical location and the links to family more than anything else. You need to understand that to be Zulu purely means that you fall under the Zulu kingdom. And the Zulu kingdom was consolidated under Ushaka kaSenzangakhona. Before that, there were other smaller nations and tribes, Omthetho, Onxumalo, Ozwide, at the time that existed. And he went and he consolidated them under this one umbrella of Zulu. As a male, of course, you are deemed Zulu by birth because of your father. As a woman, you can become Zulu either by birth of your father and mother, or by marrying into someone who comes from the Zulu nation. So I can fetch a girl from the Pedi nation, marry her, and she becomes Zulu. Or I can fetch a Xhosa girl or a Swati girl or a Sotho girl, and she becomes Zulu by marriage. And then our children become Zulu. However, they do not necessarily take on the nationality or the tribe of where their mothers come from. So you find a lot of Zulu people whose mothers in particular come from the Tsonga, Venda, Swati people. But because their fathers come from the Zulu nation, the Zulu kingdom, or there's heritage of their fathers, grandfathers, etc., coming from the Zulu nation and the Zulu kingdom. They call themselves Zulu. That is the one thing. The second thing is the fact that you would obviously live on the land of the Zulu kingdom, which today is denoted by Ingonyama Trust, which owns or is a custodian for 2.8 million hectares of land in KZN. A lot of us, myself included, do not live on the land of Ingonyama Trust. I have not been given land by the king or by a chief. I live on privately owned land where we pay rates to the democratically elected government and the local municipality. It's private property. We pay rates. If you are renting, you would be paying rent. We do not have tribal land that has been given to us. So there is no reason for us to claim that this is our land that we've been given by the king or the chief. So that is another important reason why I'm not part of the Zulu kingdom. And then importantly is that I do not follow the customs and the cultural rituals of the Zulu people. What does that mean? It means that from a young age, I was not slaughtering animals according to prescription. It means that I was not withholding sex before marriage. And similarly, you find with a lot of Zulu girls as well, they do not follow the rituals and the processes and the protocols of a Zulu maiden. They do not go for virginity testing every year. They do not learn the dancing and the singing, and they do not follow the prescriptions. They are, for all intents and purposes, liberated modern women that are empowered, feminists, so to speak. They get to sleep with whoever they want. They get to marry whoever they want. Their families do not dictate who they should be with. They do not necessarily marry within the family or within the tribe that they come from. It is only when it is convenient for some of these people that they then want to respect inhlawulo or damages when a girl falls pregnant before marriage. They want to celebrate umemulo when a girl comes to be of age, of which some of them it's just at the age of 21, even though they are no longer virgins. Some of them may even have children, or they may have had miscarriages or abortions. And then they want to follow the protocols of the Zulu kingdom when it comes to marriage. You know, ukulobola, ukwembesa, umabo, umshado. You know, but for me, this is a bastardization of the Zulu culture and the Zulu heritage. People don't burn incense. They don't slaughter to their ancestors or give thanks to their ancestors. They don't even know Zulu songs and their relevance. They don't know Zulu attire. They don't have Zulu attire. If they have any, it's normally this new costumes that people buy from an Indian shop or a Chinese shop somewhere. And they don't even know their family lineage and heritage. Or the fact that Zulu people didn't have surnames. That's why we call him MisuZulu kaZwelithini. That's why we had uShaka kaSenza ngakhona. There were no surnames. What would happen is that you would denote yourself of your father or your father's land, and then he would denote his father's land, and so on and so forth. And you would only say you are from a nation or a tribe based on your geography, you know, or your location, or your family totem, as an example. But Zulu people by and large have lost all of this. But because it is nice and cool to say I'm part of the Zulu kingdom and beat your chest, people still hold on to that. But they get confused when their kings now undergo Christian rituals of the Anglican Church. Some people are saying that MisuZulu, it looks like he's being recolonized. There were conspiracy theorists saying that that ring is the ring of the Illuminati. I don't know about all of that, but I know that I have issues with all of that. I do not recognize MisuZulu as my king. And for that reason, I'm not Zulu, and I'll continue stating this. You know, I may have a surname Umlotshwa that is linked to the Zulu kingdom, but that is something that I'm also looking to change, because I want to scrap this idea of surnames as well, and I want my children to take my name and their mother's name, which is something that's going to be different, because women weren't generally recognized when you speak of your lineage, which I think is something we need to correct. The other problem that I have is the fact that we cannot challenge for the throne anymore, even all the way to the British monarch. We cannot go and challenge King Charles for the throne and say, look, we would like to bring an army and challenge you for the throne and take over the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth nations, the subsidiaries, so to speak. I cannot challenge MisuZulu to the throne, whether in conquest, battle, whether it is through maybe a debate, whether it is through some other means. You find there are new kings on the block, people like Mark Zuckerberg, people like Jack Dorsey of Twitter, people like Elon Musk, people like Kanye West, people like Beyonce Knowles, people like Oprah Winfrey, people that actually have a huge influence on the world. Nelson Mandela as an example. Someone like a Jacob Zuma had huge influence on the Zulu nation and the Zulu people, but they are not recognized because they do not share the blood links to the king, uZwelithini. The sad thing that Mangosuthu raised was the fact that the ANC held a gala dinner, of which he was not invited as a prime minister, and he only found out from King Mswati. MisuZulu was invited there. He was meant to be introduced by the prime minister, Mangosuthu Buthelezi, which didn't happen. His siblings, MisuZulu, were not invited. And that was another very huge blunder from the ANC and from the government. And one of the stories that came out was the fact that the government didn't even want Mangosuthu or the royal family to be at the coronation at Moses Mabhida Stadium, which again is like a division by the South African government with the Zulu royal family as well. But again, it's also because for a lot of people, it seems like the royal family, and not just the Zulu one, the Xhosa, some of the Ndebele, some of the Tswana, some of the Venda, Sotho kings are only recognized by government insofar as they have to pay allowances to them from tax money. And if you look at the people that were there, Julius Malema, Herman Mashaba, Cyril Ramaphosa, Jacob Zuma, Thabo Mbeki, some of those leaders that were there, Bantu Olomisa, they're not there because they necessarily recognize MisuZulu as a king or because they respect him. But it's mostly because they know from a political perspective, it's good to be seen as aligned because it helps with votes. So that when the largely ignorant Zulu masses have to vote, they remember that these people were here coming to celebrate their king. But it's become mostly a ceremonial position. As I've said before, MisuZulu himself went to private schools in South Africa and KZN. He cannot necessarily speak isiZulu or read it that well. He did study in America for a short period. He had 2 children with a woman that he had not married, and he only hlaulad and lobolad her very quickly when he was going to be coronated as king, and then was given a Swati wife to strengthen the relationships that had been built because his mother was a princess from the Swati kingdom. But by and large, a lot of Zulu people do not understand the prescriptions. A lot of Zulu people do not follow the prescriptions to this day. And for those reasons, for me at least, I am not Zulu anymore. No one can tell me that I am, because it is not a blood thing, it is a tribe thing, and you can leave tribes. Penuel the Black Pen Man, and again, a very huge congratulations to MisuZulu Kazwelithini on his coronation officially as the king of the Zulu people, or the people that identify themselves as the Zulu nation. Have a great and blessed day. Penuel the Black Pen. Cheers.